Okay, so let's begin. For those of you who haven't joined us yet in this training series, my name's Colleen Kimmett. I'm a teaching fellow with the Google News Initiative, and this series is being presented alongside the Canadian Journalism Foundation. So I'm really grateful to them for helping make this happen and reach so many of you. Today we are getting started with Pinpoint. This is a tool from Google's Journalist Studio. I'll drop links in the chat as I go, and I'll also send out an email to all of you who registered with these links, as well as a link to the video recording. So let me put this link in the chat again. If you have questions throughout, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that, and I'll also pause periodically for questions. Questions or comments as well from anyone who's already used or tried Pinpoint. It's great to hear from you about how it's actually working for you. And I'll show you some of my collections as well to demonstrate what you can do with Pinpoint. So Pinpoint was a tool developed by Google's Journalist Studio, so specifically with journalists in mind. It's a research tool. It allows you to upload, similar to a Google Drive, large collections of documents, files, audio, video. And then within those collections, you can search for keywords. You can search for entities, so people, places, organizations. You can transcribe audio and video files, so it has an AI transcription tool. You can share your collections with other people, other users, to add their own files or to collaborate on collections with you. This is an example of the entity list that Pinpoint automatically creates as you upload documents into a collection. You can label documents within your collection for yourself to help organize and quickly find things. And also if you choose to make a collection public. So in making a collection public, you can make it viewable to anyone. This is not automatic though. So automatically, any collection you make within your Pinpoint account is private to yourself and anyone you might choose to share it with. Pinpoint uses optical character recognition to search for text within images, scanned documents, PDFs, even handwritten documents. And I'll show you some examples in my collections. Pinpoint has a new feature as well. This is the extract structured data feature. Really sexy name, I know, but it pretty much explains what it does. You are able to take a collection of similarly structured documents, so in this case, a form, a tax form, and extract values from those documents into a downloadable CSV file. And I'll do a demo of that. And then I mentioned you can make your Pinpoint collection public as well. So I'll show you the section of the Pinpoint site where you can find different public collections published by news partners. I'll include as well in the follow-up email an email to the Pinpoint help team, the Pinpoint support team. So this is a small team, but it's been interesting to see how they've added new features to Pinpoint just over the past couple of years based on feedback. They're really great to work with, and they really do want to hear how newsrooms are using Pinpoint and how they can improve it. So you have this link that we're looking at here in the chat, that journaliststudio.google. And at the very end, you can click on any of these links to learn more and request access to your Pinpoint account. So I'll get started with the demo. This is my Pinpoint account. So when you get access to your account, this will be blank. You can start a new collection just by clicking on this plus sign, new private collection, example. And then from here, you can start uploading documents from your Google Drive or from your hard drive. So you can get a sense of the supported file types here. Pinpoint supports PDFs, emails, Google Drive documents, Word, Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoints, plain text documents, web pages. You can save a web page in HTML and upload that to your Pinpoint collection, CSV files, as well as images and audio file formats and video. So I'm going to go back to one of my collections that I've already made. TRC, this stands for Truth and Reconciliation Commission. One of the reasons I selected this, and I created this collection simply by going to the TRC website, downloading the publications that they published on their website, and then uploading them to this Pinpoint collection. The reason I wanted to do this one is because there's quite a few historical documents, and I'll show you how, for example, handwriting or scanned photographs are picked up in Pinpoint. Within your Pinpoint account, you have access to 100 gigabytes of storage, and that's separate from your Google Drive. And you can, in fact, if you're working on a really big project, also request more storage if needed. So that's within your entire Pinpoint account. Each collection, the size is about 200,000 files. So the reason they frame it that way, 200,000 files as opposed to a gigabyte size, is because the space might vary depending on whether you're uploading a lot of audio or video to a collection, as opposed to potentially just text, which would take up less storage. But the point is, you can upload a lot of files, a lot of documents into a single Pinpoint collection and within your entire Pinpoint account. So let's take a look. You can see all of these look like PDFs. No matter what kind of file you upload, Pinpoint converts it to a PDF. So in this example, this is an audio file, an MP3 that I uploaded. This is Justin Trudeau speaking about the TRC. So when I upload an audio or a video file, it automatically generates this time-stamped transcription. So I can play this along. You can see at the bottom here, there's the blue banner and then the play button. So I can't share my audio with you because my Pinpoint account is actually in my personal Gmail account. And I don't know, because of the Gmeet settings, I'm not able to share the audio, but this is a useful feature just to check the quality of the transcription. And I'll show you another example. One of the features that the Pinpoint team added was the ability to edit transcripts. That feature came after I'd already created this transcript, so it's not viewed here, but and this is a good note as well for anyone who's already been using Pinpoint. The new features that they add are typically only available to collections that are added once that feature has been made available. So if you, for example, already have some transcripts in your Pinpoint collection and you don't see the edit, you would have to sort of re-upload them in order to be able to get that feature. From here, you can see I can get to the original audio file. So even though I can't see that audio file in my Pinpoint collection, I can download it here I can also download this transcript. I can also rename the document here, which can be helpful if you know, I'm dealing with files that have confusing names or unclear names. Maybe you want to take the time to rename them so they're easy to see at a glance what's in there. I can also label documents, and I can do that here within the document, as well as in my sort of main view of the collection itself. The labels are all customized. So Pinpoint doesn't come with any pre-made labels. These are labels that you create yourself as you see fit. So I could add a new, you know, say I want to add a label just to put all of my, you know, Justin Trudeau files under. I could do that. For what I've heard from journalists is and you know, me, I'm not using the transcription feature on a regular basis, just sort of for demonstration purposes. What I've heard from journalists is that it's as good as other AI tools. One caveat is that, let me click in here again. It doesn't differentiate between speakers. So if you have many speakers in an audio clip, you might want to go with another AI service because you would have to go through and identify who is speaking in each clip. But that's just a quick glimpse at the transcription feature, and I'll show you another collection with just transcripts to demonstrate how the editing feature works. So the other feature is this, you know, 1, transcription, 2 is the entity list. So you can see here this list on the right-hand side by people, by organizations, and by locations. This list is generated automatically. So as I add files to my Pinpoint collection, I automatically get this generation of an entity list. So proper names of people, places, organizations. I should say this is frequently mentioned entities. So it's possible that if a person or a place is only mentioned once in your entire collection, it might not show up in this list, but you can search for it, and I'll show you how the search function works. But for example, this is telling me that, and I can see my entire list of people mentioned in these documents. Each one has a number beside it. So Stephen Harper mentioned 7 times in my collection, and this has 32 documents in this collection. So if I click on Stephen Harper, it will show me the 7 documents within my collection where Stephen Harper is mentioned. And then if I click on a document here at the top right, I can click through and see exactly where within that document is mentioned. If I want to see, for example, documents where Stephen Harper is mentioned in the same document as Cooper Island, for example, I can add entities to this search. So I can click on as many entities I want. And here we see one of 7 documents where both entities, Stephen Harper and Cooper Island Residential School, are mentioned. If I click on here, you'll notice that I'm getting one or the other. So again, caveat with this feature, as you add on entities, show me documents where these 3 entities exist. It will show you that they're in the same document, but not necessarily in the same paragraph or sentence. Is there a way to transcribe video that is on YouTube? So that would require, you would have to download the YouTube video. which can be difficult. I mean, it's without a YouTube account, it's not possible to download a YouTube video from the site. There are some open source tools, YouTube video downloaders that you can, if you just search YouTube video downloader, you can find some different open source tools that will allow you to do that. I don't particularly have one to recommend, but I know they do exist out there. I suppose it's possible, I haven't tried this, but I suppose it's possible that you could also screen record a YouTube video and then download that screen recording and upload that to your Pinpoint collection. So in terms of searching documents, we've got this entity list, but there's also the ability to search documents for keywords or phrases. So if I enter a word like this, food, it will automatically return anywhere in my collection of documents where food or any synonym of food appears. So you can see here in this first result, it's returning results for food, but also cuisine, food, etc. So you get synonyms, meals here. If I wanted to search just for food, I could put this in quotes. So this will return only results for food. Or I could do something like this if I want to narrow my search to exclude some, but not all synonyms. I could do a minus sign in front of, say, cuisine. So here I'm getting synonyms, I'm getting results for food, synonyms for food, except for this particular synonym that I want to exclude. So it has some advanced search capabilities, putting an exact phrase or an exact word in quotes, using a minus sign to exclude a search term. And I could also do this as well. I don't see the result for cuisine here, but I can add search terms together. And I can also search for phrases, for example, ran away. And here I'm getting results for where this exact phrase appears. I wanted to demonstrate as well, I mentioned that I use this as an example because there's historical documents. So these are often scanned photographs or handwritten documents. So this is the name of a residential school. And you can see here when I search for it, I get this result. So it's picking up this handwriting in this, this is simply a scanned piece of paper with a collection of photos and handwritten descriptions, captions for the photos. I've found it's pretty good in terms of recognizing neat handwriting. I've submitted some different samples of my own handwriting. Certainly, taking really messy notes in the field, it might not necessarily pick those up. Here's another example of the OCR capabilities. This is so type written text, Crosby, the name Crosby, appearing in again, a scanned photo. And here I'll just show you some of the examples of handwriting. So this is my handwriting. It picked up elements very well. This a little less so. I think it got the word Mohawk, but not much else. And this, which is sort of how I would typically take notes in the field if I'm doing an interview, it didn't really capture anything. But it's interesting to try what you've got to experiment, and generally it's very, with neat handwriting, it picks up quite a bit. Maybe I'll just pause and see. I see some questions. So David notes that the caveat with screen recording is audio quality for the YouTube video. Yeah, and David, I'm curious to try this now. I think after this session, I'll try that just to see how it works. But that's certainly a good point. And Ishmeet, from what I can see, it is working on PDFs. Does it work the same if you have actual photos or XML files? I'll have to take a look to see if you can upload XML files. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but the PDFs, that's a conversion process that Pinpoint does with any type of file you upload. So it appears that these are all PDFs, but for example, this was an MP3. When you upload any type of file into Pinpoint, it automatically, here's a JPEG that it's converted to PDF. It just converts it to a PDF. I think that has to do with the readability, the OCR capabilities. But like, certainly you're not limited just to PDF files. And if we navigate out of here and let's, I'll just make another example collection, because this is the point at which we get to see what kind of files. So I don't see, I don't see XML. Well, here's XML. I'll include in the handout a link to this and to the FAQ webpage, where you can see exactly what file types are supported. Google Sheets, yep, it accepts Google Sheets. And then the rest of these file formats. So I'll show you another example before we get to the transcription or the extract structured data. So this is a collection of 862 files from the City of Hamilton website. So these are all City Council meeting minutes. And I showed this to demonstrate how Pinpoint can be used in connection with other types of tools. So for example, to create this collection, I went to the City of Council, the Hamilton City Council meeting minute page, and then used a tool called a batch link downloader. And again, I don't have necessarily a specific recommendation here. You can search this and find your own, but this is a tool. Typically it's a browser plugin or browser extension that allows you to download a whole bunch of links or PDFs from a website at once. So it can be time consuming in creating a collection. Even going to that website, downloading, I still had to upload those to Pinpoint, but I'd recommend, if you're looking at grabbing a whole bunch of PDFs at once or a whole bunch of links at once from a single web page, to try a batch link downloader to do that. But here, for example, this is actually I did a Pinpoint session for a group, and one reporter, who's a municipal reporter, said that they just kept a kind of an ongoing collection every time council released another PDF of meeting minutes. They uploaded it into a collection to sort of have a running collection that they could search. Say something comes up about a specific counselor or a specific company, you could search phrases like this to see, okay, how many times within this collection of meeting minutes did conflict of interest come up? And who was connected with that conflict of interest? Now, some of these are just documents you can see sort of outlining the rules for conflict of interest. But you can see some of these are so-and-so declaring a conflict of interest. And again, you could use this to sort of build using the labels, specific specific mini collections within a collection that meet those requirements. Here's a collection of transcripts. So this is Pierre Poliev speaking. And just to show you here the edit function. So let's say I'm listening along. If you want to know where I'm coming from, you have to know where I came from. So this sounds like a mistake. So I can go in and edit this. Or here it's transcribed Calgary Sun as Calgary SON. So I can make that edit. I could say, okay, this is a reporter speaking. So I'm going to add that tag in as I edit along. Or as I listen along to my transcript, I can make those edits. And I can also jump to specific points in that recording. So I'll pause there again and just see if there are any questions about kind of the main features of Pinpoint. So the transcription, any more questions I could say about the main features, the transcription, searching for keywords, the entity list, detecting handwriting or scan text through the OCR capabilities. Any questions at all, or any comments based on anyone who's already tried Pinpoint or using Pinpoint? Okay, first question, Zach. No, I didn't mention this, so thank you for the question. So it can transcribe in other languages. So here, and transcribe audio in other languages and also read files in other languages. So here, if I go to account settings, so the entity display language, this is sort of changing the language in which it can create that entity list. So changing the language in which Pinpoint can read your collection is quite a number of options. I've lost count, but as you can see, quite a few languages here. Unfortunately, there are no indigenous languages, at least to Canada, the North America at this point. And audio files, so it can transcribe audio in different languages, a more limited number of languages that it can read files, but you can see here, Hebrew, Polish, English, French, Spanish. So you do have options there. So, and I don't have to stick to one language in my Pinpoint account. So let's say I have, I want to create a new collection of French audio, for example. I would come in here, I would change my language, French display, French audio, and then make my collection, start uploading my files to that collection, and it would be reading and transcribing those files in French. If I wanted to switch back to English before I create a collection, I would just make that switch under settings, and that's up here. And then there is no cost. No, there is no cost. That would be, yeah, a note of missing Indigenous languages. It is possible. And certainly if that's something that you would like to give feedback on, you can see up here, give us feedback. You can, if it's you don't need to capture a screenshot, but you can just describe your feedback and send it in. How accurate is Pinpoint's OCR for scanned PDF text? It's sort of, I'm not sure quite how to answer that, but if it's text, and maybe once we get into the extract structured data section, this will help answer your question. But for text, it's excellent. Thank you for sharing. I was going to direct the next question. How does Pinpoint privacy security rules compare to Google Drives? Arthur has helpfully linked to the privacy policy for Pinpoint. So yeah, go there if you want to learn more. And like I said, you can also reach out to the Pinpoint support team if you have questions. So in terms of syncing, you can upload documents directly from your Drive folder with Pinpoint. As far as I know, there's not a way to automatically sync. So every time you upload a file to Pinpoint, it automatically connects to, or every time you upload a file to, say, a Google Drive folder, can you make it automatically upload into a Pinpoint collection? No, you still have to do that manual transmission. On the note of, this was another question that came up before, but does Google use your Pinpoint for, just because AI has been really top of mind language, does Google use your Pinpoint collection or account for your Pinpoint files for natural language generation, natural language processing, for example? No. So I'll go on to, and maybe I'll just drop this as well. This is just the Pinpoint help section. As you can see, it's quite detailed, and it's got answers to all of your questions about file size, about supported file types, about language support, as well as Arthur pointed out, the privacy program policies and product updates. So this is extraction example. So once you have your Pinpoint account, you can, and I believe because this feature is still in beta, you still have to request access to this new extract structured data feature. So you can see here in the Pinpoint help document that I've linked to in the chat, under the extract structured data section, there's a sentence here at the bottom: you must have Pinpoint to access this feature. If you don't see this little box here, extract structured data, you can go here and request access to that feature. So I've already done it, so you can't see the form, but it's just a short form that you fill out requesting access. And you can find that form. I'll link to this in the email as well. I'll make it clear that you can find it under extract structured data in the Pinpoint help document. And maybe I'll just, I'll pop it here too. So here we have a collection of documents that are all of a similar nature. They're all a PDF of a country report. And this is really important. They all have a similar structure. So we've got 10 countries here, listing largest cities, listing heads of state, etc. So let's say I want to grab values from all of these forms at once. I would click here, extract structured data. Pinpoint automatically selects, this is known as the golden document. So it basically just takes the first document in that collection. And here I can start making annotations that will apply to this document, but also every other document in my collection. So let's say from all of these 10 country reports, I just want to extract the population and population growth. I've got three options here: key value, repeated sections, and tables. So for just, like I said, specific values, I would use my key value feature. So this is just me dragging and dropping my mouse, or dragging a box around the value that I want to extract. So in this case, the population. The key is sort of the name for that value, or what would be the column header for that value. Pinpoint automatically tries to identify. In this case, it's done it correctly. Sometimes it doesn't. I could take this box and move it around though. So you can see here now it's showing me climate. That's incorrect. So I'm going to move it back to the correct key, population. And then I'm interested, that's my first value key pair. And then I also want to extract the population growth. Okay, so this is the value that I've highlighted, and then it's correctly identified the key or the name for that value, the description for that value. Same with religion. I'll say, okay, I want this information as well. And then you'll see here, so let's say I'm just interested in those three values for now: population, population growth, and religion. And you can see here in my preview, it's created this table where it's grabbed those same three values from every country report in my collection. And then if I hit extract, it just takes a minute, then I can download my results as a CSV file. And if I were to look at that in a new sheet, I'm going to import I'll find the CSV file that I just downloaded from Pinpoint extraction example. And what I like about this feature is that it gives me the table, but I also get a validation link. So especially if I'm dealing with a larger collection of files, I can go to one of these links and just verify, essentially fact check. Here it's taken me to the France country report and shown exactly where it's grabbed those values from. So I'm going to just clear these fields. The other feature we have here is repeated sections. So this works if you've got a structure that looks like this, where you've got, maybe this could be, I'm trying to think of another real life example, but say, employees with a name, position, or job information. But you can see here that in this section, we've got each of these has different values for a different head of state. So here, for example, I'm going to highlight the first section and then highlight in orange the second example of the repeat of that section. We'll call this heads of state. So now that I've identified this is the section, this is how it repeats, I can go ahead and highlight again the key values. So I want the name of the head of state, let's say the party, and the duration of their tenure. So I can see here it's correctly identified the key or the title for each of these values: name, party, and duration. And then again, if I pull this up at the bottom, the preview, it's done the same thing for each of my documents in my collection. So pulled the values not only from this first section, but in every repeating section that follows this format for each document in my collection. And again, I could just extract, get a downloadable CSV file that I can upload in Google Sheets or Excel and work with from there. So this, I'm just deleting my sections. Tables, this is quite simply if you've got a table you want to extract. So here, largest cities. I can adjust my column markers if I need to. And then save it. And you can see here is extracting that table, again, not just from my golden document, the document I'm annotating here, Afghanistan, but also every other one in the collection. And, this table feature I find useful, just I'll show you an example here. If we exit out of this example, this is useful just for this is, for example, just a PDF that I grabbed off the City of Delta website showing a schedule of remuneration and expenses. So often, I came across this kind of stuff. There was a useful table, but it was buried in a PDF. It's useful, I find, just for extracting a single table from a document, from a PDF file. So in this case, I'll go over this one again, because where you've got a multi-page table like this, what I do first is go to this button, header footer, enable header. So I can essentially exclude that and exclude a footer from the table. So I don't get sort of a line of text in my CSV file that says, Delta schedule of remuneration. And then from there, once I've got my header and footer excluded, I can go to my table and just drag this all the way down. So it's quite a lengthy document. I won't do the whole thing, but if you see here, in this case, I want to point out two things. One, the columns don't exactly align, so I would want to adjust them here. Two, I don't have enough lines to make up my columns. Let's say I want to put my last name in a separate column. If I right-click on one of these column lines, I can insert another separator. You'll also notice that this table doesn't have row lines. So under advanced options, I can go to row boundary method, and I'm going to say, okay, each text line should be in a separate row. Column boundary extraction, we've already done that. We've annotated it manually. I'll just call this Delta table, save table, and then we've got here the preview. And here you can see some of my column headers don't have a name, so I could edit that here, for example. Name, this would be last name. And then this would be, let's make that position. So I can do editing within my preview table before I download it as a full CSV. I've got some questions, so I'm just gonna pause there. Any issues with converting to XLS after? Um, so say if I have like if I have a CSV file, I upload it to, I want to convert that to an XLS file or, um, yeah, I don't know. I haven't, because I'm using Sheets all the time, so I haven't tried uploading a CSV file into Microsoft, into Excel. Not that I've heard of. I haven't heard of any issues there, but I haven't tried it myself. Sorry, I can't answer that, David, but I would suggest to just try it and see how it works for you. And as always, like send feedback in, because they do really listen to users. Are there audit timestamps if data changes? No. So this is this would, if you, once you upload a file into your Pinpoint collection, it's really static. You would have to manually update that file to get updated data. And I mean, in a way, that's a security thing. It's because it's your Pinpoint collection is not, say, connected to, another a table that might be changing or might be edited in Drive. Does it work on image-based PDFs? Yeah, so yeah, Tara, I think yes, it does. I'm trying to think if I have an example of an image-based PDF. But because of the OCR capabilities, yes, I would say yes. And let's go, I'm gonna actually, I might have an image-based PDF that we can try. Let me take a look. I'll just pop into screen sharing again. Because I do want to show you some examples of less, this extracts structured data example is very nice and neat, right? It's a very well laid out files and documents. I'll show you, oh yeah, this one, Houston City Budget. So this is what it looks like. So we don't, let me see if I can find a table here. Okay, so I think, Tara, this might be like an example of an image-based PDF, something like this. So let's try it. We go to extract structured data. I'm just going to close some files here. And I'm going to scroll down to the table I'm interested in. Now, again, this is just one PDF, right? So this might be tricky if you were working with, let's say you had 3 PDFs in this collection, 2022 operating budget, 2021 operating budget, 2020 operating budget. I'm not sure if it would be able to apply the same extraction annotations to each document. But with this one, if we hit table, and I'm just gonna highlight this. And then again, so I'll just sort of adjust my columns here. Looks like I need another separator here for the percentage. I won't do this like super fine tuned, but just to give you a sense. And then I'm going to go to advanced options and do that row boundary extraction. So each text line in a separate row. And here we have, yeah, I mean, this looks like a pretty neat extraction, CSV extraction of that table. That's sort of like an illustration really in the PDF. Cool. Okay. Sounds like that answers the question. And then I'll show you another example. So this is well, maybe I'll show you this one. So this is actually a citation I received for being in a canoe without enough life jackets. I got this on the Gatineau River last summer. So this is a structured form, obviously. It's a citation. The yellow things you see are just my sort of kind of personal information blocked out. And it's also handwritten. So I was curious to see how Pinpoint would handle this. So I uploaded, to show how it applies to, let's say I had I filed a FOIA request. I got, 20,000 citations like this. Thankfully, I don't have 20,000 citations, but to see how it applies, how my annotations apply to more than one, I just uploaded the same citation 3 times. So if I click extract structured data, let's get rid of these. These are just old ones. So you can see here, this is basically just an image. It's not even a PDF or a scan. It's just an image I took of the citation. So I'm going to do just key value pairs now. So it's a little messier. For example, here, this is this is in French too, by the way. It's a description of the infraction, but my value field overlaps with the name here. And you can see Pinpoint has actually incorrectly, it has correctly identified the name of this section, infraction or infraction. So you can see here, it is doing a decent job, I would say, of reading this text. I can read, again, this is in French, but utiliser une embarcation de plaisance. So this is supposed to be proportion. But there's enough here, at least for me to, pick out the keywords that describe the infraction. And here I can see it has identified the same section in each of these copies of the citation that I've uploaded. And then I can do something, if I wanted to pick out another value, let's say, again, I had a series of citations and I wanted to, collect information on where they came, or in this case, who is the officer giving the citation. Again, it's incorrectly identified the key for this value. So I could move this over to name to the correct place. It hasn't got, again, it's, it hasn't quite got this correctly, but at least I've got a last name here. Or maybe I want to identify the location of the citation. Gatineau River. And so Rivière Gatineau, it's instead of de la, it's translated this as 1A. And I would have to move this to place, endroit. So just to give you a sense of sort of, with this more imperfect example, and you can see here, it has grabbed the same fields. It has correctly grabbed the same fields, even if incorrectly identified the handwriting and perfectly. But just to give you a sense of sort of the potential, but also limitations of this type of tool. So I'll stop there, and maybe before I do, I'll just show you quickly. And I see there's a new question in the chat, which I'll get to. But up here you can see my workspace, which is all my private collections. But under the Explore tab here, you can see collections that news organizations and other civic organizations have decided to make public. Palliative care data in New Zealand. The Associated Press has a number of public collections. So if we look at one of these, you can get a sense of how they've organized them using the label system to make them a little more readable for a public audience that doesn't necessarily know exactly what they're looking for, but may want an easy way to sort through. You'll also notice that this is a very new feature. You can, so it doesn't appear in any of my collections. I haven't made a collection new enough to capture it yet. I'll have to do that. But you can see, along with the entity list here, you can filter by dates mentioned as well in a collection. This is a new feature. And again, that was a feature that was requested by a lot of journalists using Pinpoint. But here, for example, this collection is related to the AP's ongoing coverage into the Maui County wildfires. So I could, if I'm an outside user, again, I could sort by keyword, by person, and read through to the documents in that way. So I'll stop sharing and just address some questions. Bill asked, do some websites use AI to block batch downloading? That's possible. I don't know for sure, but it could be possible. And Bill also asked, can you stipulate the languages for facilitating accurate optical character recognition and for bilingual content? Yeah, so what I would do in that case is before I upload a new collection, I would go to my settings. So I'll just go back to my collections. So let's say I want to upload a new collection of French documents. I would change my settings first to French language display and French audio transcription. Save those changes and then create my new collection, and it would analyze that collection in French. So yeah, change the language in your settings before you upload the collection that you want to analyze in that language. The files are only in a list view. Yeah, so there isn't a preview or icon view. It's just in that list view as you saw. Any other questions or comments, particularly from anyone who might have used Pinpoint? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Daniel asked, is there a way to reclassify something extracted? So it's not possible to change the entity list you see. That is, Pinpoint determines those entities based on Google's knowledge graph, actually. So it's not possible to really customize that. There's not too many customizations that you can do in Pinpoint, at least not at this point. If I'm extracting, in the data extractor, as you saw, if I want to reclassify the key or the name of a value, I can do that. But in that entity list, no, there's not really a way to say, hey, Patrick Street is a person, not a location. At least not at this point. So 100 gigabytes is the upper limit. But you can request more. You can write to the Pinpoint team and request more. I don't know if there's a plan to raise that, but I do know that they will give you more space if you request it, if you need it. And for video, that's correct. So you can't play the video in Pinpoint. You can simply read the transcript. I'll pop my email in here. And as I mentioned, I'll send out a link. It takes some while for the video to process, but I'll send out a link to it. The recording that we